Most people in the world are obsessed with the idea of success. They wake up each day with an anxious desire to make it, to prove themselves, to be someone in the eyes of others. But high achievers do not operate from that space. For them, success is not something to be pursued. It is something that happens when you are deeply involved in the process of what you are doing. Success is like a shadow. If you walk toward the sun, the shadow follows. But if you chase the shadow, you will only tire yourself out and go in circles. When you make success the goal, you unconsciously create a future that is disconnected from your present. Your life becomes a chase, a constant struggle to bridge that gap between what is and what should be. This creates suffering. High achievers have realized that the quality of the journey determines the quality of the outcome. Their focus is on making every step full of life, intelligence, and grace. They know that if they are fully rooted in the present, the future will grow out of it organically and beautifully. Success, in its true essence, is not an external milestone. It is an inner condition. It is the harmony between your intention, attention, and action. When what you want, what you focus on, and what you do are in complete alignment, success cannot be denied. It doesn't matter if the world claps or criticizes. The high achiever is already fulfilled in the doing, not in the recognition. Recognition may or may not come. But fulfillment is immediate when action arises from a centered self. Look at the most impactful beings on this planet. They did not set out to be successful in the way the world defines it. They were simply consumed by something greater than themselves. A vision, a longing, a truth. In surrendering to that, they became vessels of something powerful. Success followed because their inner compass was aligned. The moment you stop worrying about what you will get and begin to pour yourself wholeheartedly into what you do, your work gains a transformative power. This is why high achievers are calm in chaos, focused amid distractions, and joyful in adversity. They are not driven by results, but by involvement. They don't do things for success. They do them because not doing them would be a betrayal of their own truth. In this way, success becomes a fragrance they emit, not a trophy they chase. And that fragrance spreads far, influencing others not by command, but by silent inspiration. The world today is obsessed with comparison. From the moment we wake up, we are bombarded with images, statuses, and stories of other people's lives. Slowly, without even realizing it, we begin to measure our worth against others. We start to wonder, am I doing enough? Am I achieving fast enough? Am I as good as them? But the mind of a high achiever is not caught in this web. They know that comparison is the thief of clarity. And without clarity, there can be no conscious action, only compulsive reaction. High achievers do not concern themselves with the pace or patterns of others. They have understood one simple truth. Each being is unique, each journey is sacred. Just as no two trees grow in the same direction, no two humans are here to fulfill the same purpose. If you spend your life trying to outgrow someone else's shadow, you may never discover your own light. True achievers turn inward, not outward. They ask themselves, what is true for me? And act from that space. When you have inner clarity, you are no longer pushed around by opinions, trends, or the need to prove yourself. Your direction becomes clear, not because someone told you where to go, but because you have seen it within yourself. Clarity is like a torch that lights up your inner path. And once you see, you walk with confidence. You don't rush. You don't panic. You simply move with certainty because your actions are rooted in your own knowing. Comparison creates confusion because it keeps you entangled in someone else's rhythm. But clarity gives rise to coherence. Your thoughts, emotions, and energies begin to move in a unified way. You become efficient not through pressure, but through alignment. You are no longer scattered in 10 directions trying to match others. You are focused like a beam of light, cutting through distractions, driven by purpose that springs from within. To develop inner clarity, high achievers invest time in stillness, reflection, and self-inquiry. They are not afraid to be alone because they know solitude is not emptiness, it is space for vision. While the world is running a race with no finish line, they sit in silence and sharpen their understanding. And when they rise, they move with quiet power, undisturbed by the noise around them. This is the strength of one who has seen their path and walks it, not because it is easy, but because it is theirs. We often think power lies in knowledge, in action, or in influence. But true power, the kind that transforms not just outcomes but entire lives, comes from presence. Presence is not merely being somewhere physically, it is being there entirely. High achievers understand this deeply. Whatever they do it with complete attention, as if the entire universe depends on that one moment. And in a way, it does. When you give yourself fully to the moment reveals its fullest potential to you. Most people live their lives distracted, pulled in 1,000 directions. Their minds are in the future, their emotions are trapped in the past, and their bodies move almost automatically. In such fragmentation, excellence is impossible. Presence brings integration. When your body, mind, emotion, and energy are in one place at one time, doing one thing, there is immense power. It's not about multitasking more. It's about being so absorbed in the now that the ordinary becomes sacred. You may have seen how a master craftsman works, not with speed, but with depth. Every movement is precise, every touch is intentional. That level of presence makes their work artful, even if it is simple. High achievers live like that, not necessarily with tools in their hands, but with attention in their actions. Whether they are speaking, writing, leading, or creating, they are fully immersed. And that immersion leaves an imprint. Their presence becomes felt, not just seen. Presence also brings a certain grace. When you are truly present, there is no room for fear, no space for doubt. These emotions thrive only in the imagined future or remembered past. But in the now, there is just awareness. This clarity allows high achievers to respond rather than react. They don't make decisions out of compulsion. Their presence creates space between impulse and action where wisdom can enter. In that space, life opens up. One of the greatest gifts you can give to any moment is your undivided presence. High achievers don't reserve this for grand occasions. Even in the simplest tasks, they are there, completely. When they listen without judgment. When they work without distraction. This is not discipline born out of rigidity. It is devotion born out of love for life. And when life sees that you are here fully, it starts offering itself to you in ways you never imagined. The world teaches us to set goals, to define success by how much we accumulate, how far we climb, how visible we become. But high achievers are not driven merely by goals. For them, the real pursuit is inner transformation. The outer achievements may be visible, even celebrated, but they are just ripples of something much deeper. What truly propels them is the question, who am I becoming through this? Every goal is only a doorway to discover new dimensions of themselves. A person whose goal, focused but not transformation, focused will always be restless. The moment they reach one destination, the joy vanishes and the thirst returns. It's like drinking salt water. It increases desire but never quenches it. High achievers understand that real fulfillment does not come from what you do, but from how consciously you evolve through the doing. Every challenge, every obstacle, every triumph is an invitation to refine, reshape, and rediscover oneself. Transformation is not a moment. It is a continuous unfolding. The high achiever is not concerned with appearing perfect. They are devoted to the process of inner growth. If a situation exposes their impatience, they don't blame the situation. They see it as an opportunity to strengthen patience. If life brings loss, they don't just mourn. They allow it to deepen their perception. In this way, they are always learning, not just from books or mentors, but from life itself. There is a certain sacredness in this approach. The high achiever treats life not as a battlefield, but as a laboratory. They experiment with themselves, not in arrogance, but in curiosity. What happens if I dissolve my ego a little here? What changes if I let go of control there? Through this inquiry, they expand. And in this expansion, their capacity to lead, to create, to impact, naturally increases. They do not demand greatness from the world. They cultivate it from within. When your focus is transformation, you become independent of outcome. Goals may succeed or fail, but you do not shrink or swell with them. You remain steady because your growth is constant. This steadiness becomes your power. You are no longer acting to prove something to others. You are acting to reveal something within yourself. And from this space, everything you touch begins to transform, not just in results, but in essence. In a world obsessed with movement, noise, and urgency, stillness is often misunderstood as inactivity, but those who have tasted even a moment of true stillness know that it is not emptiness. It is the source of all energy, clarity, and purpose. High achievers have discovered that to act powerfully in the world, one must first learn to be utterly still within. Action that is born from noise is chaotic, but action that arises from stillness carries an invisible precision and power. Most people are constantly reacting to situations, people, problems, even their own thoughts. But a high achiever learns to pause. That pause is not hesitation. It is mastery. In that pause, they return to themselves. They observe without judging, breathe without rushing. And in that space, they listen not to the world, but to the whisper of their own inner intelligence. It is from this listening that true purpose emerges, not as a wish, but as a knowing. Purpose is not something you can fabricate with logic or ambition. It is something you uncover when the clutter of thought is cleared. Stillness is the doorway to that clarity. Like a muddy pond settling into transparency, the mind too becomes clear when left undisturbed. In this clarity, high achievers see not just what they can do, but what they must do. Their purpose is not driven by fear or greed. It arises as a natural unfolding of their essence. In stillness, one begins to recognize the difference between noise and voice, between impulse and insight. This inner distinction becomes the foundation of powerful decision making. High achievers are not impulsive. They are intuitive. But intuition is not magic. It is the flowering of a quiet, receptive mind. When the mind is noisy, you miss life's subtle cues. But when it is still, you begin to see patterns, possibilities, and truths that others overlook. To the outside world, this might seem mystical. How did they know? How do they move so fearlessly? The answer lies in stillness. They don't rush decisions. They allow decisions to ripen within them. And once ripe, they move with certainty. This is not laziness. This is conscious timing. They are not always doing, but they are always becoming. And through this stillness, their actions become sharp, deliberate, and filled with unwavering direction.